Hi guys, Sam here from Alexander Equipment Company. Today we're going to go over the safety and operation of the Giant 254 Tele. We're going to walk through and talk about different things on it and also operation. So we'll start off with when you're using the Giant 254 Tele, you always want to make sure that you're crossing obstacles and different barriers, small things, curbs and such, perpendicular to the curb. When you're going and moving a load, you want to make sure that you keep the load as low to the ground as possible. That's going to be the safest way to go and move things around on the work site. You're also going to want to go and keep in mind that when you're traversing any kind of hill or incline, you want to cross it straight up and down. Never go across a hill or any kind of incline. That just could lead to a unsafe work environment. So, going through the machine, we have a couple different things that we want to talk
Ryan,
about
call on
today.
one, Ryan.
We basically want to go through and we want to talk about different features that the machine has. We'll start with a couple things on the outside of the machine. First and foremost, on this machine, you have two external battery posts. You have your positive here and you have your negative here. You also have a battery disconnect. These are located in these positions because the battery is located underneath the boom here. This allows you to have remote access to the battery if you ever need it. Talking about servicing the battery underneath the boom, if you'll come with me over onto this side, you'll see that we have a boom lockout. This boom lockout will allow you to safely work underneath the machine anytime you have to service the battery or any of the hydraulics underneath it. Going forward, right here, when you're traveling with this machine, you have a travel bar right here. You unbolt this, take one end and bolt it here, and the other and bolt it here. What this will do will keep the machine stable while moving it on a trailer. While we're here, we also have the oscillation pin. Basically, when you want to go and have a very stable, rigid machine for doing any kind of major lifting, you're gonna go ahead and drop this pin down. What this will do will lock the two halves of the machine in unison together and allow it not to oscillate. Now, when you're moving the machine and traversing any kind of uneven ground, you want to go ahead and lift this pin up and lock it out. What that'll allow it to do is let it oscillate backwards and forwards to be able to kind of make it a little more comfortable when you're moving. Moving on to the operation of the machine, we'll start off with the joystick here. This joystick, we have a couple different controls on here.
Sam, you have a call on line one.
If you see
Sam,
on the
line
left
one.
side of the joystick, this will control the boom movement outwards and inwards. On the front of the joystick, what we have here, this will actually control the hydraulic functions. On this particular machine, we have a rotating grapple. To use the grapple, open and close the claws of it, we use these two buttons here. This one is to close, this one is to open. When we want to rotate the grapple, we will hold this lever in right here and actually go and rotate the grapple inwards and outwards using that. This button here is the differential lock and also the joystick access button. When you start the machine, the joystick will not have power to it. You will not be able to use it until you go and press this button, and it will actually energize the joystick itself, and you're able to use all of your control functions. Moving on to the back, these levers here are basically just lever controlled versions of the switches that we have up front. The rear is going to control your tele in and out. This front joystick is going to control the function of the grapple. Moving on to some of the, you also have the selector switch here. This will actually control the forward and reverse of the machine. In the center position, this button will put the machine in neutral, allowing you to go and use every other function on it. It just will not move the machine forward and then obviously reverse. Moving on, a couple other things. We have the heater plug right here. You'll be able to plug in your machine. If it's in any kind of cold environment, you can go ahead and plug this thing in and you'll be able to keep it warm during the winter time if you keep your machine outside. You have your hydraulic tank right here where you can fill. You have a couple of the anchor points right here for whether you're strapping the machine down or what have you, you're able to go and lock it in place. Coming over to this side, we have a couple rocker switches here. This is a boom lockout. When it's in this position, the boom is able to move. When it's in this position, you are not able to use any functions on the boom. This is to be used if you're going and transporting something on the machine, if you don't want anybody using it, if you're working on whatever the case may be. This is to lock out the boom completely. You also have your different work lights, which you'll see located right up over here. This is the rear work light, and then this is the front. You also have a boom light up here. That is controlled by this rocker switch here. Parking brake for the machine. Alrighty guys, next we're going to talk about the creature comforts that the 254 offers. So there's a couple different things the 254 will do so that you can be a little more comfortable while you're working. First off, we have the steering column tilt here, basically just moving the whole steering column forward or backwards. You have a couple different things on the seat of the 254. You obviously have your adjustment for the seat itself. You can slide it forwards or backwards. You do have a seat belt here. You can adjust the armrests here and lock them into position using these two scrolls right here. You can also recline the seat. We have it unlocked so that way we can go and look at the engine compartment in just a moment here, but using this lever you can move this seat forward or backwards. That way you can get your optimum comfort. You do have a horn on this side of the steering column as well, so that way people will know that you're coming through when you're delivering a log out to the front or whatever you may be doing with your machine. Alrighty guys, so we're talking here about the engine compartment of the 254. As you can see, the Kubota diesel engine is located here. Giant has done a great job of making this very serviceable, making everything very easy to get to. You have your air filter here, you have your fuel filters over here, engine oil dipstick right down over here, very easy to get to. Now the hydraulic filter will actually be located up under the boom on the front side here. You have your diesel fill cap right here. This is your brake pedal on this side. This will basically disconnect hydraulic flow to the drive motors. On this side over here is your accelerator pedal. If you need to use the machine at full RPM while not moving for whatever kind of attachment you may be using, you can actually depress this pedal. It'll disconnect the hydraulic flow and you'll be able to go and use the accelerator pedal here on the other side. All right guys, so to finish off the video, a couple honorable mentions here. We should also state that there are some tie down points on either side of the machine. Each one of the tie down points will have this little box right here showing you that that's where you can go and safely tie down the machine. There is also a seat switch in the machine. So it's basically like an operator presence switch located in the center of the seat cushion. Sometimes in the winter, if there's any kind of moisture that gets into the seat, that seat switch might get a little frozen. All you'll have to do is just kind of hit the center of the seat. That way it'll go and initiate that switch and tell you that you're able to operate the machine. Otherwise it will completely lock it out. This machine does take 10W40 oil. Your first service on this machine will be at 50 hours. Every service after that will be at 250. Make sure you frequently, probably on a daily basis, go through and grease your machine. If you go to the back of the machine here, you'll see that we have this little travel case. In this case will be your operator manual, and this will basically go over everything that we talked about the machine. If you have any questions, make sure you consult this book, or feel free to give us a call. We'd be more than happy to walk you through any questions you may have on it. But yeah, overall, thank you guys very much for clicking on this video, watching it. If you guys have any questions, we're Alexander Equipment Company. Please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you out.